That's the exact same story as Dwight. When Dwight first shows up in Tulsa, nobody takes him seriously. He's this old guy, fresh out of prison, talking about starting something new. Nobody believes in him at first. Nobody respects him. But through vision, persistence, and sheer force of will, he turns things around. He proves everybody wrong. That's what both Stallone and Dwight show us. Real leadership isn't about what others think of you. It's about what you're willing to fight for, even when everyone doubts you. So when you look at the big picture, it all just adds up. Stallone, the man himself, isn't exactly Rocky, the sweet underdog boxer. He's not really Rambo, the lone soldier who hides in the shadows. He's much closer to Dwight, the hustler, the charmer, the survivor, the guy who refuses to stay down, the man who reinvents himself no matter what life throws his way. And maybe that's why Tulsa King feels so natural for him. Maybe that's why people watch Dwight Manfredi and say, wow, Stallone really nailed this role. Because in some ways, he's not even acting. He's just bringing out a side of himself that's always been there. A side we don't always see on the big screen but has always lived inside him. And here's the fun part. This makes you wonder, how much of what we see on screen is really acting, and how much of it is just an extension of who the actor really is. With Stallone and Dwight, the line feels so thin. It feels like Dwight is the closest we've ever gotten to seeing Stallone just be himself on camera. So now let me throw this back to you. Do you think Stallone is more like Dwight Manfredi in real life than he is like Rocky or Rambo? Or do you still see him first and foremost as the underdog or the soldier? Honestly, it's such a fun debate, and I'd love to hear where you stand on it. And if this breakdown got you thinking, you've got to check out my other video where I dive into how actors reinvent themselves later in their careers. It'll completely change the way you see longevity in Hollywood. Some actors fade away. Others, like Stallone, just keep finding new ways to surprise us. So if you enjoyed this little deep dive, do me a favor and give this video a like. It really helps more people find content like this. And if you want more fun takes on your favorite stars, make sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss out. Because here's the truth, sometimes, the real person is even more fascinating than the character they play on screen. And with Sylvester Stallone, that couldn't be more true. Now let's hold that up next to Stallone. Time and time again, he's reinvented himself. First, in the 70s, he burst onto the scene as Rocky, the underdog boxer who captured the world's heart. Then in the 80s, he transformed into the ultimate action hero with Rambo, the guy who symbolized grit and survival. People thought that was it, that was Stallone's lane. But years later, when critics had written him off, when audiences thought he was past his prime, he created the Expendables. Suddenly, he wasn't just starring in movies, he was leading a massive team of action legends. And then, just when you thought he couldn't possibly have another reinvention left in him, he came back again with Creed. This time, he didn't play the young fighter anymore. He stepped into the mentor role, showing a completely new side of himself. It was emotional, it was heartfelt, and it brought Rocky into a whole new generation. He earned critical acclaim, awards, and most importantly, respect for proving that he wasn't done yet. And now, at over 70 years old, he's leading Tulsa King. He's not just showing up for a cameo. He's carrying an entire series on his shoulders, giving us one of his most layered roles ever. Every single time people think Stallone's story is over, he finds a way to come back. That's pure Dwight energy, staying sharp, staying relevant, and refusing to let life put him in a corner. He doesn't quit. He doesn't accept limits. He reinvents. And here's something most people don't even realize. Stallone has always been deeply into philosophy and art. Yeah, the same guy who plays these explosive, muscle-bound heroes spends hours painting, sketching, and creating art. He's got entire collections of paintings he's done himself. He reads philosophy. He thinks about life in ways you wouldn't expect from a so-called action star.
He walked in the room, and I hated him. I thought, give me a break. This guy has jumped the evolution scale by about 1,000 years. He's 6'6". He has hair that you need a lawnmower to cut. Cheekbones that look like a Harley. Lips, they're so big that, for example, if he flew over 10,000 feet, they would explode. And he's a genius. He's a physicist and some kind of like chemical engineer, but MIT graduate, Fulbright scholar, and blue eyes. That's not even human. That's a robot.
He's got soul. He's not just about fists and fights. It's like there's this philosopher hiding inside an action star's body, and you only really see it when he speaks honestly about life. Now, let's not forget this: Stallone's relationship with Hollywood has never been easy. A lot of people think, oh, he's a superstar, he must have always been loved by the studios. But that's not true. He's had to fight for his place again and again. In the early years, people doubted him. They mocked him. They dismissed him. Even after Rocky and Rambo, there were long stretches where critics laughed at him or said his career was over. And yet, every single time, he clawed his way back. Now let's talk about personality. Dwight isn't just a mobster. He's not just some guy who orders people around or threatens them. He's got charm. He can walk into a room, talk to strangers, and win them over with just his words. And honestly, that's Stallone too. People think of him as this action star who only plays tough guys, but in reality, he's funny. He's warm. He has this way of talking that makes you want to listen. Compare that to Rambo for a second. Rambo barely says a word. He's quiet, withdrawn, always in his own head, and honestly pretty isolated from the rest of the world. He's not the kind of guy who wants to sit around a table and talk, right? He'd rather keep everything bottled up, internal, and let his actions do the talking. That's part of what makes Rambo such an intense and haunting character. Rocky, on the other hand, is soft-spoken and humble. He's sweet, kind-hearted, and he has that underdog charm. He's the type of guy who will win you over with his innocence and determination. But here's the thing, Rocky isn't really the type to dominate a room. He doesn't take over conversations or light up the space with his energy. He's more quiet, more reserved, more about listening and learning rather than being the center of attention. But Stallone? The real Stallone? He's completely different. Off-screen, he's not this silent loner or shy underdog. He's more like Dwight.
We want to take out the competition. I know you.
Special Agent Musso.
What do you want from me, Musso?
I own you, General.
Taste this. He's selling his business.
Booze, moonshine. This is history, most likely started by the Italians.
Wasn't it English, Scottish, Irish? The Italians brought breadsticks.
Hey, what'd you think? I wasn't gonna hear about this? What's my cut?
You looking to start a war, Bill?
Well, you don't think anything's possible?
You sure about this tail vehicle we've chosen? Just saying. Totally invisible.
We want to take out the competition.
Jeremiah Dunlap. He's the tyrant of Tulsa.
I am obligated to destroy everything you have built and everyone you love.
Everybody out! Hardware!
It's time to share.
Wolves are clawing at the door.
So what we gonna do about it?
I'm gonna break his jaw in 6 places.
Who says you're not romantic?
Family does not leave family behind. This could be the greatest opportunity of my life, and it comes with danger. Is that a ghost?
Well, I bet ain't nobody seen that coming.
Tulsa King, a new season streaming September 24th.
Or the quiet soldier who can take on an entire army. But in real life, Stallone has this whole other side that feels much closer to Dwight, the smooth, tough, street-smart guy who doesn't just fight with his fists but also with his mind. Have you ever had that moment where you realize someone you thought you completely understood turns out to be way different in real life? Like, you think you've got them figured out, then suddenly you see another side and go, wait a second, this is who they really are? That's kind of what happens when you compare Stallone to Dwight. And once you see the connections, you can't really unsee them. They start lining up almost perfectly. So let's talk about it. Let's break this down piece by piece. Let's look at why Stallone, the actual man behind the characters, feels way more like Dwight Manfredi than Rocky or Rambo ever could. And trust me, by the end of this, you might start looking at Stallone in a completely different way. Now, let's start with the first thing. Stallone has always been a hustler. Rocky, in the movies, is an underdog. He's sweet, he's kind, and he just wants a chance. Rambo is this traumatized soldier, someone shaped by war who doesn't really say much. But Stallone? In real life, he's not just waiting for a chance to show up. He's someone who pushes, claws, and hustles his way into success. Just like Dwight. Think about it. Back when Stallone was young, he was broke. Like, really broke. He couldn't even afford food. At one point, he was so desperate he had to sell his dog just to keep himself alive. Can you imagine how tough that must have been? That's the kind of decision Dwight would have made. Hard choices, survival-first decisions, because you've got no other option. And then look at what happened next. Stallone wrote Rocky. Not just a little script, he poured everything he had into it. Studios wanted to buy it, but they didn't want him as the star. And here's the Dwight side of him, he refused to sell unless he was the lead. That's not just determination. That's pure street smarts. That's a man who knows his worth and won't let others push him around. Dwight walks out of prison after 25 years and immediately starts building a new empire. Stallone walked out of poverty and rejection and built his career into a global empire. See the connection? Both men, in their own way, start from zero and refuse to accept no for an answer.